Now that we're logged in to our computers and to the internet on Firefox, I want you to go to areyoureadynd.com. When you get to this screen, please log in using your account name and password. If you can't remember it, I have a copy in my desk for you guys. Okay, let's go back to the career planning tab that we were on yesterday. The screen should be familiar. Yesterday we went to this tab, learned about yourself, and there we determined our interests, skills, and work values and how to use them to find career options. Today, I'm going to have you click on Explore Careers. Go ahead, do that right now. When you did the interests, self-exam, and work ethic exam, you were given a couple of career clusters that may fit your interest and your skills. They're broken into clusters. You can go ahead and go that way. I'm today, and you can follow along with me right here, is I'm just going to search and I'm going to choose a career social worker. And if you have a particular one that you're interested in, you can type it in there and hit go, but I'll have you do that after the instruction part. This gives me a list of different careers containing social worker. I did my search before. I know to go to page 3. You may have 3, 4, 5, 1 page. You may have to go through and determine or find your particular degree or career. I'm going to click on social worker. And listed here is just some facts about a social worker, what they do, what a person does in that career. You'll find here there's a 10 bullet list about there. Also over here is related careers to social worker career. If you're not interested in a social worker in a healthcare setting, you may be a social worker that deals with marriage and family counseling, parole officer, probation officer. Also, if you click here, some careers will have multimedia or a video like this one here. Open it up. It's converting it to a file that we can use on our Mac computers. And it should work for all of you if you watch a video. And you just click the play button here.
Social workers belong to an important profession that involves helping people solve their own problems. To be successful.
So let's quickly, this one is a minute 20 roughly, and just a short little clip on what a social worker does. We're going to click out of that. We're not going to save it. Then we're going to go to the next. You're going to go on to the next tab. Is this for you? Here you can see if some of the interests that you guys, your little tests, they're not really tests, but the evaluations you took yesterday, do some of your interests match that? Do your work values match what a social worker, work ethic and interest and values match? Do you have the aptitude to do that job? And I want you guys to know too that even though you may not have the social skills quite yet, and you think, oh, I don't know if I can do that. When you go to school, or if you go on and go to college and then you get a job in that area, you develop some of those skills along the way. Sometimes you don't have it right away. For example, I was very shy in high school. I went to college. I had a couple of jobs throughout the years, and I learned to develop some communication skills that help me with my job today. So sometimes you don't have it right then, but if you develop them over the years, and if it's something you really want to do, I encourage you to do that. Go to college, maybe do a little job shadowing at a place that you're interested in, so you see if that fits your skills and your interests. Next one, skills you need. Tells you about the basic skills: writing, speaking, science, critical thinking, active learning, and it shows you the level that you will need. If it's low, you can easily fit in and do the job that they want you to do. Also goes to the transferable skills, workplace skills, and you guys did all this yesterday when you did your short little to determine what those skills are for you. Next, what to learn. Talks about you're going to need a high school diploma, and then for this particular career, you're going to have to go on further and get a bachelor's degree, which means most times it's at least 4 years. Some schools now are getting you through faster, but it's going to be, you're going to have a Bachelor of Science degree to be able to be a social worker. You can also go on and get a master's or a PhD in that field as well. Um, as you know, the more education you have, the better chance of making more money if that's one of your goals. Speaking of money, we'll go on the next tab, Money and Outlook. It tells you North Dakota earnings, the average wage for a social worker. That right here is $47,480. Entry level, meaning you get out of college and you have your first job as a social worker, you can roughly make around $34,000 a year. The more experience you have, more education you have, you can make it to $65,770. Goes on to tells you the average wage, entry hour wage, and experience hourly wage. If that's easier to comprehend, annual compared to per hour. And it goes on, shows you a couple of different regions, our cities in the region, Bismarck, Fargo, Grand Forks, and then far western North Dakota and west central North Dakota as well. Also goes on the national earnings, tells you the average annual national earnings, which is 46,000, average annual hourly 22. So that gives you that. Also goes on, tells you the outlook statewide and national outlook. For example, will there be jobs after I graduate from college? And it looks pretty promising for a social worker. We're going to skip the military options, connections, interviews. This is kind of a nice it's a little write-up of someone who actually is a social worker. And they explain what they do, what some of the skills you have, maybe some of the trials and tribulations they have with it, and a lot of the positive things that come with that job. So you should read through that because it's a personal account of someone who's actually worked as a social worker. And then real life activities. The one I would like you all to look at is real life communication activity. You'll click on there and it tells you some of the things what a real life social worker does. And then click down here, how does it handle a situation? And this explains what they will do. So that's really in a nutshell what I want you to go through today. I want you to research 2 different careers, and then tomorrow we're going to take those 2, put them side by side, and compare the 2. And maybe you can decide, one works better than the other. And it doesn't have to be from the same cluster. It can be 2 different ones, and then you can determine, do I have to go to more school for this one? Do I need more communication skills? This one, and just compare the 2 different things. And then later on in the week, we'll go back into the career planning tab, and then go on to getting a job.